let's have a look in a little bit closer detail at source B. Now, source B is taken from the book A Brief History of the Normans by Howard Curtis, and it revolves around how religious the Normans were. It is very, very clear that the Normans and William the Conqueror were highly religious, and they believed in the teachings of Jesus Christ. In fact, William the Conqueror even made some deals in the past with the Pope in Rome, who was in charge of the Christian faith. So it says here the Normans were highly religious and strongly believed in the teachings of Christianity. This is very important. William the Conqueror set about transforming England into a Christian country. And although Christianity had existed before the Norman invasion of 1066, the Normans began to build churches in every village, town and city across the country, and this did indeed transform ordinary life. You can see here that this church is obviously a very grand church, and not all churches were like this, but churches appeared in their thousands across the country. And this is important because they actually set up charities that helped people like the disabled and the sick and the elderly. This had actually a positive impact on the people of England. So going back to the source, by 1080, England had thousands of churches, and these set up charities which helped the sick, elderly and disabled, and provided food and shelter for those who had previously led very desperate lives. So, when considering the impact that they had, the Normans by no means solved poverty or problems associated with being elderly, sick or disabled, but it must be said that they provided food and shelter for those who had previously led very desperate lives. Now, in addition to this, we know that actually there was a slave trade at the time, and the slave trade involved ordinary, very, very poor English people. Rich people could buy these poor English people, and they would work for them for free. They would essentially buy humans as a piece of property. However, the source says, in addition to this, William the Conqueror banned the slave trade in 1090, as poor English people could be bought and sold to the rich. He stated that it was stating it was against the teachings of God. So we do actually have some positive impact here. So we need to be specific, and we need to consider what impact did the Normans have. Now, when looking at source A, it's clear that they had a negative effect. But here, the spread of Christianity actually had some positive benefits to the ordinary people of England. So, the spread of churches in almost every town, village and city across the country actually led to an increase in charities. It was the charities mission of the churches to help the sick, the elderly and the poor. And this did by no means, it didn't solve poverty within the country, but it did have some beneficial impact on those people that needed charity and support. And finally, in 1090, William the Conqueror actually banned the slave trade. This was because it was against the teachings of Christianity and the beliefs of Jesus Christ. So at the centre of this, everybody, we need to be clear that this notion here of 1090, remember it was 1066 when the Normans involved. This is essentially 24 years after the Normans invaded. It's important that in the longer term, over a longer period of time, some ordinary English people actually benefited from Norman rule.